And you know what? I'm sorry to say it. Zack Snyder cannot tell stories.
Strike that. Reverse it. This way, please.
Welcome back. Let's talk nerd shit. BvS, or Justice League. So, it got finally announced. We got the W. So in the honor of that, I wanted to take the idea for a test drive. What idea? The idea of watching Zack Snyder's movies, or the stories that he tells, in 30-minute chunks. Now, this isn't really going to be a review. At this point, a lot of negative things have been said about his superhero work. A lot of positive things have been said, and I don't think that me doing a review about BvS right now, would really add much to that conversation. But after watching the first 30 minutes of BvS, I have to say, the idea is very good. The idea is brilliant. His work always gets criticized, right? Very negatively, style over substance. And the fandom always says, you have to be engaged when you watch his movies. You have to pay attention when you watch his movies. You have to give it the attention span that it requires. Now, yes, a lot of us can sit through 30 minutes of Zack Snyder goodness, but for those that aren't initiated, who are coming from the MCU landscape, that's going to be a pretty tall order. And this is why I think him doing it in these installments is brilliant, besides the whole hype aspect of it. So after watching the first 30 minutes of BvS, this is what you get in the first 30-minute episode. You get the origin of Batman. Zero event, when the world is introduced to Superman. They show you what Lois is doing. They show you KGBs. They show you the Americans in another fictional country, which starts to start that whole kind of narrative of, you know, Superman enacting unilaterally and all that stuff. They show you the woman from the same area that goes to the senator. They show you the kryptonite being found. They show you what Batman is doing, branding people. And all of that ends on the conversation with him and Alfred, where Alfred is telling him the speech about becoming cruel and the rage and all that other stuff. Now, just in those 30 minutes, a lot happens. It may not sound like a lot, but a lot happens. Oh yeah, and they also show you this how Superman and Lois are doing when he goes home and she's in the shower. So they show you all that. And if you would like an example of how deep this stuff goes, what's the podcast? BvS by the Minute. Stephen Colbert. He's getting roasted at the moment on Twitter, but it's a really good podcast. And in that, they describe to you, or you can see him and his homie talking about the movie, and you just see how deep you can go if you sit there and you give it the time it requires, and you just kind of think about it. It shows you how deep you can go, and that's exactly what I'm saying. This was a 3-hour movie. He's releasing possibly more than 4 hours. I hope that it's the assembly 5-hour cut. That's what I hope. Now, imagine if BvS was released on a streaming service, right? Let's just go into that fictional world. The episode ends on Alfred telling him how he's lost his way, how he's become more cruel. Okay? Now, the part where the Batmobile chase... It's a plane, sorry. But the Batmobile chase, you wouldn't see that till maybe episode 3, episode 4. So in episode 1, the fandom would have already been talking for at least a week about, okay, this is the Dark Knight Returns of Batman. Alfred is telling him that he's lost his way, he's become cruel. At some point, the fandom would have started to figure out and float out the idea that we're going to see a Batman that has fallen, that has lost his way. So when the scene came with the Batmobile chase, people would have gone, you see, we told you, right? People would have already been expecting it, putting the thought out there into the zeitgeist, as opposed to people going to watch the movie, having not a lot of the stuff wash over them, but just kind of like just passing by them, them only holding on to certain nuggets and certain feelings about the movie, and having one of those main ones be Snyder challenging the idea of this Batman with the kill code and all that other stuff, and them just not giving it the time that it requires, the thought that it requires. And you know what? I'm sorry to say it. Zack Snyder cannot tell stories.
Strike that. Reverse it. This way, please.
What I meant to say was, his imagination cannot be limited or put in a confine that is that of, or in the box that is a 2-hour movie, 2.5-hour movie, 3-hour movie. Think of it. When he shot Justice League, he shot a 5-hour assembly cut. That was the scope of his story. Even if you got a 3.5-hour movie, right? He's still cutting out a chunk of story, possibly a chunk of exposition, development, things of that nature. The guy's imagination, he just thinks on a different level. He's got Watchmen, example number 1. Sucker Punch, he said that there is enough stuff, footage for him to shoot or to release a Sucker Punch director's cut, even though there isn't already an extended cut. BvS Ultimate Edition. We don't know if there's a Man of Steel director's cut out there somewhere. Don't know if there's a 300 director's cut out there somewhere. But this guy's imagination is just next level. So I think great. I was listening to Garza last night. What's it called? The Real Podcast, I think. REEL. He dropped some good ideas. And I think it's correct. You can tell these really epic... the word's escaping me, just these massive, gigantic stories. And you can drop it. And Warner Brothers has said, you know, they're going to go in on it. They're going to make it high quality. But anyway, those are pretty much the thoughts for episode 1. I'll do the next one next week. Till next time, enjoy the nerd shit. Peace out.